Howdy y'all, today is June 3rd. First farmer's market is in the books. It was a ton of fun. I sold out within the first hour and a half, so I'll bring more next week. I didn't really know what to expect, but it was a great turnout, ton of fun, and I'm looking forward to next week. The bees are hitting the water pretty hard today. It is toasty. So I did finally remember to bring out some sugar water for them. So this is the base and this is the top. So the sugar water sits in here. There's little holes poked in here. So all you do is flip it upside down and then sit it in here. This goes in the front of the hive, and then the bees crawl in under this slot, and then they can get at the holes in here and drink the sugar water. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that set up for them. So there's what it looks like all set up. So the bees go inside the hive and then through that little access port, and then they can go up and drink that sugar water. Since there aren't a ton of resources out here and the colony just isn't really building up that great, I'm gonna go ahead and give them that sugar water just to give them something to help them get going a little bit. Also, that grinding noise in the background, my dad's here and he's working on making a lift for the chicken coops, kind of like the chick lift basically. So he's got his plasma cutter, the welder, and grinder going right now. So we'll see if we can recreate it and get these chicken coops moving. So I was watering the garden and I have one red cherry that's been turning for a little while. It's just about there. But I have another one that has a bunch of yellows on it. And I went and looked at my little cheat sheet here, and they're the sun cherries, which are the yellow cherries. So I actually have a couple tomatoes that are already done. Two little yellow ones. That's pretty awesome. We've got this third one here starting to turn. The red one I've been eyeballing though is down in here. So we're getting close, but not quite yet. So that means tomatoes are coming very soon. I did eat one of the yellow ones. They were very tasty. The first few handfuls are going to be for me, and then they will come to the farmer's market. I got one other little thing. I'll show you some strawberries that are coming on. So I've got a few strawberries hiding in here that are getting ready to turn. And this one that I just planted has a couple on it, not quite as many. Unfortunately, the strawberries will not make it to the farmer's market. I only have two, and they're gonna be for me. But next year, if these survive and do well, I'll go ahead and plant a full bed, and then I will bring those to the farmer's market next year. But I have plenty of other things that are gonna come. I have some nice buds on the peppers, and the tomatoes are really looking good. I had a lot of fun at the farmer's market today though. A lot of friends and family stopped by, so it was good seeing you guys, and then just meeting a lot of new people. Did you guys hear that? Thunder. That's amazing. But as you can see, it's pretty clear skies. There's a little bit of something off to the east, but considering it's already starting in the east, it's probably not going to make its way over here. So that's unfortunate because we could use the rain, because it hasn't rained about 3 weeks now. So it's pretty dry out here. Howdy y'all, today is June 4th. I came out to feed, water, and move the chickens here, and I ran across my first Americana loss. So it was kind of weird. Obviously wasn't expecting it at all, but in the back of the coop, just in the corner, there was a chicken laying on its back. I hopped in, she was gone, pulled her out. I've been looking her over. I mean, she looks perfectly healthy, like there's nothing wrong with her. But when I found her, it's kind of a weird presentation. She was laying on her back with her wings curled around her like breastbone area. The curled wings make me think that it could be some sort of like convulsions before dying, and that's typically indicative of the sudden death syndrome. I don't know. She's a completely healthy looking hen. I see nothing on the outside. Yeah, that's my first Americana, so that's too bad. All the other hens seem to be doing just fine. So I don't have a graveyard compost area set up out here just yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this big dirt pile back here that is just leftover dirt from when the driveway was done this past fall. So I'm gonna go ahead and bury her. It's always tough losing an animal and not knowing why. Even if you know why, it's still tough. But sometimes they just die and you don't know why. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead, bury her, and then finish up chores. Not a very good way to start the week. Hopefully this week improves. Those bees suck that water down, so I gotta get them a fill up. Let's see how the sugar water. Wow, I thought for sure they would drink that down more, but they really haven't. All right, well, let me get them some more water. Howdy out, today is June 5th. Gonna check on the chickens and bees and whatnot, but as far as projects today, I would like to cut some grass. Been doing it in chunks. You can kind of see this stuff's been done, this hasn't. There's a random path cut in here. Been doing it in thirds, just so there's always something for the bees to have, so we're not just clipping all the heads off the clover. So I want to get that done. Also, I still have more tomato plants to get in the ground. I think I only have maybe 10 left. I wanted to get everything done by the end of May, but that did not happen. So it's gonna get done today. I grabbed some more organic chicken fertilizer today so I can get those in. And then what else? Oh, just organizing the barn, because I was throwing stuff in there on the shelves basically right after it was built, and there's not much organization going, so I'd like to start working on that. All right, let's get the old mower fired up. My dad did rig up this, you can't see it too well, but there's a wire here that holds this up because it was just clogging up. It's a little bit of a catch-22 out here with cutting, because you want it to be tall, but you also, I don't know, it's just tough because it's not a tractor, and the highest you can cut is 4.5 inches. So sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. Got some of the pasture cut. Now I just gotta plant the rest of these. It's not too many. I've already started digging a few of the holes. So this is the last row for me. So I have 3 rows. That front row there, those are all black crims that I started. The middle row is, I bought all those from the store. And then this whole row I started in my closet as well. And then these 2 rows are my mom's, and then I've got peppers and everything else up there and back up in the corner. I am down to my last tomato plant, which is a great feeling. Only thing is I am out of room, so these last 3 here were all in one pot together, and I think I might wait to see if one of them goes belly up. If anything, I think it'll be that one. If they do great though, this one over here isn't doing so hot. This is the green Cherokee I got from my friend's farm. It wasn't hardened off, is my guess, because as soon as I put it out here, it just started burning to a crisp. But it looks like it might come back. So I don't know, I might keep it going for a little longer. And if not, I have some room here on the end that I might just plant this one. I put some DE, diatomaceous earth, in here for the chickens to dust bathe in. The Americanas in particular were really looking like they were wanting to dust bathe, but there's just not a lot of area to do that on pasture, so I put 2 big old piles of it and they all quickly took me up on it. So I'm glad that they're getting a much needed bath. Miss Frizz, are you going broody on me? This is day 2 she's been sitting in here. Howdy y'all, today is June 6th and this is Miss Frizzle's 3rd day of sitting on this nest. When I checked under her yesterday, she had a broken egg under there and it was kind of gross. Today she has 2. Watch what she does though. If you pop one out here and get it to stay out. Frizz is really the only chicken that I've had go broody on me pretty consistently every spring and fall. Leia tried for a little bit once this past fall, but she didn't really give it 100%. Frizz usually does pretty good as far as sitting, but I don't know how good she'd be as a mother. She's kind of crazy. I have one chick that just absolutely loves eating ants. And some ants took up residence on that chair there, so I figured bring it in and let her go to town. Just call her Ant Eater. I've never seen a chicken eat ants like this chicken. Quick stop at Tractor Supply. Actually looks like rain out. Let's hope. So it does look like we're actually going to get a little bit of rain. It's hazy off to the north there. I looked at the radar. Is the smallest little band of rain, but hey, I'll take it. So I do need to move the chicken net really quick, and I want to do it before it rains, that way, because this grass is kind of tall out here. I didn't cut right around the coops, so I just don't want to be soaking wet all night. Giving the last of the watermelon to the chickens. Howdy y'all, today is June 7th. It is now midweek. When I talked to the well people last week, they said that they would be here the first of the week to get the well in, and they're not here. So I called them just asking, what's up? Can you give me a time? They said, oh, our equipment broke. Sorry, we forgot to call you. So it looks like it's going to be another week out. So it just is what it is. So after chores are done here, I still want to work on organizing the barn a little bit more. Well, I never turned that back on last night. And then I might go ahead and plant a few pumpkins. I'm not going to sell those or anything. It's mostly just for the chickens this fall. Give them something to snack on and something fresh that'll keep for several months. You guys like that watermelon? Yeah, look at that. They ate that clean. Alright, pull the food and water out here, and then get these guys moved to some fresh grass. Chickens are moved. I will feed and water them later. They still have plenty of that. I'll remember to turn the fence on. Also, a couple days ago, my honey extractor came. I haven't put all the pieces together yet, but it is here, so I'm getting closer to extracting the honey. Give the bees a quick fill up of some more sugar water. This is super cool. So it's a homemade chick lift my dad made. Works great. So it's the same concept. You push it up like that, let it down, and then it's raised up. And you just step on this, and it's back down. Pretty cool. Did a great job on it. Howdy y'all, today is June 8th. I got a call from the well company, and someone was actually out here earlier this morning, just getting kind of the lay of the land, looking around and seeing potentially where the well could go. I told him my idea of where I wanted the well, and yeah, looks like it'll work out really well. It's still probably gonna be next week, but let me show you where it's gonna go. So this blue flag is what we're thinking. I was thinking halfway between the garden and the barn, because the tank's gonna sit on that back corner of the barn. So I wanted it to be a semi-short run just because that's easier. But I also wanted it far enough away where if I did decide to add something on to this side of the barn, I can. I don't think I will, but it's also just easier driving through without a wellhead sticking up. And yeah, it just seemed like the best spot. So that's what we're gonna go with. I still think we're looking at next week though. So on the project list today, cleaning out this front ditch. There's a lot of leaves and junk that just get collected in there, and that is great compost. So using the mower with a tarp and forking it out and gonna run it out. So here it is, all mulched up. That'll be good worm food. It's feeling really good now on that ditch. It is pretty much done at this point. Got some shelves organized. For the most part, there's still some left to do, but I'm feeling pretty good about where it is. I'm gonna go ahead and finish screening this chicken coop. So it's just this front part here, and then the other side of that. And then after that, I'm gonna go ahead and get this tarp on. And then we're looking pretty good. I did buy a piece of wood for the dividers for the nesting boxes. And then after that, just got to put the cable on the front so I'm able to pull it. And this is good to go. It's been kind of hazy all week. Not really sure why. It wasn't humid or anything. Finally figured out that there were some wildfires in Canada, and a lot of it is blowing down in Indiana. So that's what all the haze is just smoke and debris from that coming down. Good morning, y'all. Today is June 9th. The chickens are out running around, the Buffs and Marins, that is. Gonna check on all of them. The cedar hive is waking up right now. They're in the sun. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and check that hive first, and then we'll jump in the white hive. I know I have 20 pounds of honey at this point that I can harvest. We'll see if the bees have any more for me. So these guys are pretty active. It's about 10:30, getting close to 11, I think. I enjoyed checking the hives in the mornings when it's cooler out, because when you have all this gear on, it gets a little toasty. In the mornings, typically there's more bees in the hive as well, because not everybody's awake and out foraging yet. The sun is on this hive though, which is good. I like the sun on the hives as early as I can get it, just so the bees do get going. But as far as inspections, I like having the bees inside. That way when I shake powdered sugar on them, I get the majority of the bees coated. And I shake powdered sugar on them to force the bees to wash themselves. So that way if they do have a varroa mite, which is basically like a tick to us, they'll brush it off and it'll fall through the screen bottom board, and then the ants will carry the mites away. So anyway, these guys are definitely awake. So I'm gonna go ahead and see what they're looking like. So this hive is looking good. The green drone combs that I put in 2 weeks ago, I think at this point, they've cleaned one completely off because one was an old one that they were going to reuse. So that's cleaned up. And the second one's all drawn out, and there's some larvae in there, but it's not quite capped over yet. So I take it over when it's capped over, and then I can freeze them. The second honey super, they have not touched that very top one yet, but the first honey super is looking really nice. There's still just a couple babies in there that have to hatch, not much. So most of that's already been converted into honey, which is fantastic. Still a little shady over here. Got a lot of bee activity though. The sun's coming. I'll probably give them another 10 minutes. I'll mess with the chickens, get them done, and then check on these guys. I wasn't able to get my camera out fast enough, but you see this long stringy thing right here? At the base is the stinger. You can see it sticking there. And then everything else is the bee's guts. So these bees can only sting you once. They sting you and they can't get that barb out, so they just start pulling, and then it pulls out their insides. So I mean, the bee flies off, but it doesn't live for much longer. So the white hive is looking really nice. They have started on their top super there, the second one I put on, so they've just started in the middle frames and are working out, which is fantastic. I still have that bottom super, which is generally about 20 pounds. At least that's what I got last year. So somewhere around there is what's in there at the moment. Everything else looked great. The drone comb was full and capped over for the most part, so I went ahead and took that out and put another drone comb in its place. So I'll show you that in just a second. So here's the drone comb I pulled out. You can see most of it's capped. There are a few just larvae that are not capped yet, but I wanted to make sure I got these out of here before they started hatching. So to get the rest of the bees off, I'm going to use this little bee brush just to swipe them off. It's a super easy, flexible brush that doesn't hurt the bees at all. So there's not too much more this coop needs. It needs some dividers for the nesting boxes, and then just something to pull the front with. So for that, I have this wire, a couple clamps, and a really old hose. That's just so it's nice on your hands when you're pulling it. So gonna drill a couple holes and get that on. Find a good bit that'll fit this. Might be one too small. Let's go one bigger. That looks about right. Okay, I've got the clamp on. So that is what's going to sit on the inside here and keep that wire in place. So that'll hold it just like that. The new coop is out. It's a fantastic feeling. It rolls really well, super easy on the grass. So thank you so much to my dad for making that homemade chick lift. Chick lift that I had bought was about $200, and then my dad estimated it's about a 50% price cut making them ourselves. So that's super handy because I'm gonna have quite a few more coops yet that I still got to build. And then the Americana coop doesn't have one of the little lifts on it right now. I'm just pulling that with brute strength, and it's not too much fun. So it would be nice to put some sort of wheel get up on there. But anyway, I'm really glad that this coop right here is done. I'm gonna grab the speckled Sussex from my parents' coop. My dad wants them gone because they're starting to make quite a bit of noise, especially because I got 2 roosters in the batch. And yeah, he just wants them gone. So they're gonna be the next batch that goes out here. And then after that, it'll probably be the Buffs and Marins and then the chicks from the 5th grade project. So now I'm gonna go ahead and pop this drone comb into the freezer, and it'll sit there for 2 days just to make sure everything in this frame dies, the drones and varroa mites. So I have some more tomatoes ready. There's a couple little red ones hiding in there. Also, there's some I'm not sure. It's these chocolate sprinkles. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so they're down here. Another red one down there. These are kind of hard to tell, the chocolate ones, because they don't really turn red. They're kind of a orangish green, but there's quite a few of those. Maybe I can show you guys this one a little better. It's still kind of weird light because it's in the shadow, but all of these I can't quite tell if they're ready or not, so I'm just going to pick one and see what it tastes like. You can see it a little better now that I've picked it, but you see how it has that brownish color to it? Almost green. These are called the chocolate cherries, so never had one before. See what it tastes like. You guys, these are amazing. This is my new favorite. It's really mild tasting. It's not that tart cherry tomato taste that you're used to. It's not tangy, it's just a mild, good taste. I really like this one. So I just did a side-by-side comparison of the Sunset chocolate and just the regular cherry tomatoes. And honestly, I like them all. I can't tell which one's my favorite anymore. I just love tomatoes. I can eat those things like candy. All right, I'm done nibbling in the garden. Actually had a nice handful of cherry tomatoes and 1 strawberry, which is delicious. Looks like the bees have settled down. There were a bunch that had just hatched. So I brought my bee suit. I'm gonna grab that and then check on them and see if they've made any progress. Toasty afternoon, lots of bees at the watering hole. So this colony really isn't doing that much. They came in 5 plastic frames and foundations, and they fit in the bottom box. I filled it out to make 8. They haven't touched the others that I put in there. I have not touched that top box yet. They just really aren't doing anything. I saw a couple small hive beetles. I smashed them. I'll put in a couple beetle traps, but I mean, they look fine. They're just not really expanding too much. The only other thing I saw was I had 1 frame. When I pulled it out, it popped off. I forgot to put a nail in it, so I did that really quick, and they're good. They're just not doing much. So right there is a small hive beetle. These things will get in here and just tear things up. This one's a small one. I think I've smashed maybe 5 at this point. It's just one of those things that sometimes will happen to them. It's not the end of the world. There's some beetle traps. I'll put it in here and I'll show you guys what that's all about probably tomorrow, because I don't have any oil on me right now. So small hive beetles are a pest, kind of like the varroa mite, but small hive beetles are slightly different because they're not going to hop in the cells and reproduce. What they like to do is get in there and tear up the wax combs, eat some honey, grab some pollen, basically just mooch off the bees. They tend to like hives that are in a shadier spot, which is my hive. It doesn't get too much sun, just a little bit. There's honestly not any other great spots on the property at the moment where they get a windbreak, and that's what I was most concerned with. So that's why they're along the wood line. Tupsaturum, I can, sometimes I'll leave the wax just out front of the hive so the bees can clean it up real quick and I'll take it away. I'll probably just start taking it away and not leaving it there so that way it doesn't attract anything. But what I have here is a small hive beetle trap. So you put oil in this, just any sort of oil, it doesn't matter too terribly much. Just something that the beetles will fall into and not get out of. And then you can clean these out and reuse them. So they go in the hive like this. You just pop them in and they sit flat. And the bees are pretty smart. So they will actually chase the beetles around if you watch the bees. So once you put the traps in, the bees will still chase them around trying to get them out. But this time, the beetles will go up in there, fall down in this hole. They get trapped in the oil and they can't get back out. The bees can't get in here because the slots are too small, so they're safe. And then the beetles are kind of tricky, so sometimes they'll hide underneath this where the bees can't get to them. They also like hiding in here, basically anywhere a bee can't try and kick them out of the hive. So that's where I was mostly finding them, was along weird edges and cracks. So anyway, I'll get in there tomorrow. I don't have any oil out here, so I'll put those in tomorrow. I'll put a couple in, and then that'll help them out. But they're still just not doing too much. I planted some grasses up here last night. They're super small and kind of hard to see, but they're there. Little decoration. My mom actually got them for me, as well as a couple little flowers there. So the farmer's market is tomorrow morning. This week I am way ahead where I was last week. Last week I was up till 2 in the morning trying to finish up just some last minute things. And this week, I don't know what time it is right now. Maybe 7? I don't really know. But I've gotten all the eggs, well, not all the eggs, but a lot of the eggs washed, which is a great feeling because that's the most time consuming thing. Everything else is just throwing in the car and heading out. So I feel pretty good with where I'm at. Wash a few more dozen tonight and have fun tomorrow.